Alright, fellow Arrow fans, time to take a look at the final episode of the day, which is A Matter of Trust. The Green Arrow pursues a hooligan with a weapon while its new group watches on Felicity's screens. Felicity enlisted people who remark on the battle. The hooligan is the medication seller who sells another. It's a medication seller who sells another and hazardous medication called Stardust. Subsequent to being compromised by Green Arrow, the hooligan drops the name Derek Sampson. Furthermore, Green Arrow drops him off a rooftop. Renee needs to hit the roads. He realizes how to discover Sampson. Be that as it may, Ollie joins everybody and will not let any of them onto the boulevards until they dazzle him in preparing. Jose gives a caution and Ollie leaves. Criminologist Malone, Felicity's beau, noticed the alarm to bring the Green Arrow, says he needed to share some data about the ongoing cop murder from 2 scenes prior. There's some proof that ties back to church. Lila visits Diggle in military jail and fills her in on how he was encircled for attempting to take one of Damien Dark's nukes. He's taken back to his cell and asks the gatekeepers to not leave him with the other man in that cell. The man is Floyd Lawton. At his office, Ollie's security monitor is fixed about forgetting about Ollie the prior night. Ollie avoids and reminds that he never needed a security detail. He goes to meet with Thea, who shows him the news. A grapple named Susan Williams is tearing into Ollie for selecting to refer to alcoholic Lance as deputy mayor. Suddenly shocks Ollie since he had no clue the extended to Lance the employment opportunity. Thea has to deal with the circumstance. In Russia, Anatoly goes to see Oliver. Ollie's worried about the men who were slaughtered during the ringing exercise. He's prepared to leave Brodva. Anatoly makes a deal to avoid halting him. However, he needs to show Ollie somebody first. Renee and Evelyn sneak off to discover Sampson. She's not actually excited about defying the norms. He keeps on going with Renee. They discover Sampson and a few others making Stardust. Renee pulls out his hockey veil and bounces into battle. Evelyn protects herself as Waldock and Sampson battle. A funnel blast, spilling fluid into an immense tank of Stardust. In the long run, Sampson likewise falls into the tank. In his office, Ollie meets the new DA, Adrian Chase. Pursuit is irate about Stardust, which is more terrible than even Vertigo. He would have Sampson captured and flip him on his providers. However, he can't get over the grounds that Sampson is dead, executed by a vigilante in a hockey veil. Ollie sees our Renee. While Renee and the others have to trust Ollie additionally needs to confide in them. In the event he can't, why trouble? Felicity is likely not excited with Renee and calls him much more difficult than Ollie. Thea meets with Susan Williams. Williams is benevolent and consents to stroll back the story when Thea concedes that she only Lance with asking Ollie. Burr asks a lot on how he's alive. A letter recounts to an account of enduring and getting captured once more. He requests Dick's story. As clinical inspector begins to post-mortem Sampson, the street pharmacist stirs, asking why he can't feel torment. Sampson executes the clinical analyst. Kurt suffers worry a ride. How at the same time being a tease a little and referencing his significant other. Rory specifies to be from Haven Rock. Chris comes up with a rationalization. He goes to Felicity after Rory leaves. Felicity wouldn't like to educate Rory regarding the job she played in his house being nuked. She, despite everything, accuses herself. They are hindered by a caution from the medical clinic. Sampson's causing confusion in the clinic. He shot it back a couple times and scares her response, nor does he appear to feel the bolt that the Green Arrow shoots into his shoulder. They battle, and Sampson is obviously solid. Green Arrow figures out how to get away. The group returns, however, Ollie doesn't need their assistance. In any event, Renee sees his error and the others all attempt to offer a collaborator. Ollie turns them down. Anatoly takes Oliver to see a lady who gets some information about her child. Anatoly shows her an image of one of the men who Barb executed and guarantees her that her child's executioners are dead. She calls Anatoly heavily attendant. Anatoly goes to Ollie that the men attempting to ring the ringer with him were professional killers. Not all things are what it appears. Lon diverts himself by playing solitaire and getting under Diggle's skin. He makes reference to Andy, and Diggle wants to clarifying that Lawton didn't slaughter Andy. He did. Pursuit and Ollie have a gathering. Chase is more settled than previously. He needs Ollie to request that an appointed authority send a court order to assist them with discovering Samson. Ollie is willing, and Chase great nature recounts to an anecdote about how they met 12 years sooner, with Ollie taking Chase's better half. Theo shows up and shows Ollie the most concerned for Williams. Williams refers Ollie for not in any event, realizing he was being employed in relinquishing his position to his group. Theo accuses herself and plans to leave. Curtis and Felicity talk about Rory. Curtis reminds her about how privileged insights never remain mystery and how she has been harmed by them before. She should trust Rory. Samson symbols with his whole group. He anticipates giving everyone his men a similar treatment so they can likewise be more grounded and feel no torment. At that point, they won't need to fear anybody, even church. He consumes himself to illustrate. Felicity chats with Ollie about how being a pioneer implies being liable for everything this group does. In any event, when they rebel, he needs to trust. They made aware of a break-in. Ollie goes to get the group. Lila visits Diggle at his cell. She's attempting to research to demonstrate he is guiltless. However, Diggle needs her to stop. He accepts that he ought to stay in jail to pay for executing Andy. Lila attempts to comfort him and understands that he's been separated from everyone else in the cell the entire time. Lila was a fabrication of his creative mind. The group treats and Curtis uncovers himself a wrestling fan, particularly a grappler called Mr. Dynamite. Ollie shows and apologizes to Renee. Felicity reveals to them that a substance replicator was taken. They understand that Samson needs to imitate the medication which transformed him. Renee uncovers the stardust blended in with the fluid which dribbled from the funnel. He's returning to the location of his passing. The Greener discovers Samson taking a shot at the new stardust. They battle. The remainder of the group is there too. Even Curtis and Evelyn uncovers. Curtis attempts to dent his stardust, helping Rankman and Evelyn while Waldock takes out certain gatekeepers. Green Arrow cuts Samson's ligaments, rendering him stable. Not feeling torment doesn't mean his body isn't being harmed. Green's group leave as the stardust is pulverized. Ollie takes the group to the Arrow Cave just because, and they're all exceptionally intrigued. The issue bonds a little with Renee over enjoying his hockey cover. Angela clarifies that Broadview implies fellowship. Despite the fact that the men of Broadview have all attempted to execute Ollie, they are siblings and he should confide in them. Ollie faithfully betrays the men and permits them all to curtail blades, believing they won't murder him. They discover Chase informing Ollie regarding Samson's catch. However, resembles the Green Arrow's new group. The attempts to leave, however, Ollie demands he needs an individual he can trust. He throws Thea out to a public interview, where he rehashes Felicity's previous words. He confides in this group, and he is answerable for each choice they make, counting on his new deputy mayor, Quentin Lance. Thea says up to Williams before she can leave. Williams has spent everything, place of being Thea's companion. However, Thea doesn't get bulldozed this time. She compromises Williams' activity if the columnist ever attempts to play her again. As the group gets settled in the Arrow Cave, Felicity approaches Rory. She reveals to him everything about her part in the nuke falling on Haven Rock. He mournfully leaves. Lila goes to the cavern to make a solicitation. She needs Ollie to break Dig out of jail. Dun dun dun. So anyway, let's take a look at some trivia from this episode. The first episode of Arrow to feature Josh Segarra as a series regular. The drug stardust was named after Cody Reynolds' former WWE alter ego. This episode references and quotes a number of famous writers and performers, such as Tupac, Mark Twain, and William Shakespeare. While playing cards, Floyd Long exclaims, "My kingdom for a heart," referencing the line, "My kingdom for a horse" in William Shakespeare's Richard III. Lucy comments that heavy is the head that wears a crown, claiming that she's referencing either Shakespeare or Tupac. Referring to the former, from Shakespeare's Henry V, Part 2, the quote is in fact, "Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown." As for the latter, there is no similar quote attributed to Tupac. Dirk Sampson references Twain when saying, "Reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated." A popular paraphrase of Twain's actual words, "The report of my illness grew out of his illness. The report of my death was an exaggeration." When Sampson exposed his left arm to a lighter, he references a scene from Lethal Weapon, his favorite movie, when Mr. Joshua also exposes his left arm to an open lighter. Sampson is referred to as a new zombie, referencing what happened to Tony Woodward/Girder in the Flash episode The Runaway Dinosaur. Chris mentions Terry Sloan, who was Mr. Terrific in the Golden Age era. Oliver's complimenting Renee's hockey mask while in the elevator is a nod to Stephen Amell's role as Casey Jones in the film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. So I think it's a pretty good episode, and I like the fact that Oliver's, while being harsh to them, is starting to trust his new team just a little bit better, so yeah. So overall, I give A Matter of Trust 4 arrowheads out of 5. My name is Tune in tomorrow as we meet you in the next episode, Penance. So, until then, in the words of Oliver Queen, you have failed this city.